This is my boy Naruto, my family's favorite anime, and this boy can eat. He just loves ramen and his favorite one is this one. Tonkotsu Miso Ramen, straight from Ichiraku's Ramen Shop. And today I'm going to be showing you my take on Naruto's favorite ramen. And the first thing we gotta do is shasu, aka Chinese barbecue pork. And as you can see, Naruto has great taste. I mean, take a look at this. Give me that by itself and I'm already happy. And to make it, it is extremely easy, and here's how. The first thing we need to do is to marinate. So I started with a little bit of white wine, followed by sesame oil, then I added mirin, dark soy sauce, brown sugar, and white pepper. Now there's left to do is to mix it well because your marinade is done. Now this is going to be perfect for a pork belly. Talking about that, here it is. I want you to notice that this one is without the skin, and that's because we're going to be using it for ramen. If it was for something else, we definitely want a crispy chicharron. One other thing that you got to look for in a pork belly whenever you're making ramen is to ensure that it has plenty of meat, because by default it already has a lot of fat. And to marinate it, what I like to do is to put it in a vacuum bag. This will ensure that the entire surface of the meat is fully covered with the marinade. As you can see, once I was done, everything is nicely coated. You want to let it marinate for at least 12 hours, or better yet, overnight. The very next day I took it out and this is what it looks like. The dark coloration is a sign that the marinade did its job, and hopefully it infused a wonderful flavor inside of the pork belly. Now the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and roll this up so that we can cook it. And as you can see, my piece is not that large. So the first thing I try to do is to just roll it into itself like this. And man, that does not work because take a look at this. It's just not a good idea. The best way to do it is to go ahead and split it open a little bit more. This will give me more surface area so that I can roll it into itself. Once it was completely butterflied, it made the job a lot easier. The only thing left to do now is to tie it up because once I was done, take a look at this. Now that is what I'm talking about. We want to do this not only for a great presentation, but it will also cook evenly. Talking about that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and throw it into my smoker. For that, I chose a temperature of 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Not only is it going to cook nice and fast, but it's also going to give a wonderful smoky flavor. And if you don't have a smoker, you should definitely get one. But it is also possible to cook it in your oven. Just always remember to have a nice large pot on the bottom so that it can catch all the rendering fat. Because once you hit an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, this is what it looks like. It is now fully cooked. However, I am missing a little bit of char on the top. The smoky flavor is 100% already there, but a nice little char is gonna go a long way. So for that, I just grabbed my torch and went to town. This is quick work. It literally takes about 1 minute to do, and the results is definitely noticeable. Now before slicing the pork belly, you wanna let it rest for a little bit. If you don't, the juices is just gonna completely run out. So after it rested about 1 hour, it was time to slice. And as I did, oh, I could not be happier. I mean, take a look at it. This by itself in a sandwich is amazing, and I am 100% sure in a ramen it's gonna be real tasty. That is how easy it is to make shasu Naruto style. Moving on to the next ingredient we gotta prepare, we're talking about the broth. This one is where all the flavor comes from. And remember this, it's not a race, but it is a marathon. Naruto's favorite ramen, as you guys already know, it's tonkatsu, which is usually made with pork bones. But since I did not have any and it was hard to find, I went to the next best thing, which is ribs. Come on now. Ribs for ramen? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now this next ingredient is not traditional whatsoever, but I wanted to add it to my ramen because I love it, and so does everyone else in my family. And as you can see, it is beef bone marrow. This has an amazing flavor, and hopefully it's gonna take my ramen to a whole new level. The next ingredient I'm gonna be adding is this one. Now I know what you're thinking, what? That doesn't look good. And I agree, because I mean, who loves chicken feet? No one. But I'll tell you one thing, it gives an incredible flavor to your broth. And if you've never tried it, I highly recommend. So now that I have all of my meats ready, the next thing to do is to go ahead and get it cooking. And for that, I added everything into a large stock pot, throw in a good amount of water and took it outside, because this is gonna take a while. I turned the gas on my powerful stove and let it boil for about 20 minutes. As you can see, a lot of scum is going to come up right on top. That has to go. If you want to have a nice clear taste of your broth, you gotta get rid of it. You can skim it little by little and that's okay. But what I like to do is to discard the whole first batch of water. I'm telling you, if you do this, your broth will taste better. So once everything was out, I went ahead and refilled the pot. Then I started another boil. And if any scum comes up, continue to remove it as much as possible. Because after about 4 hours, the next thing to do is to add a bunch of other ingredients. And here's what I chose for this broth. We got ginger, garlic, scallion, carrots, and onions. You are welcome to add any other if you like. And one more thing I love to add into my broth is mushrooms. It gives an incredible umami flavor to it. So after adding it all up, I just make sure to stir it all around because now it's time to leave it alone. And I'm talking about an additional 4 hours. But trust me, there's a huge reward in the end. Once that time was up, I went ahead and added even more flavor. And here's what it is. Into boiling water, I threw in a little bit of kombu, aka dry seaweed, followed by a little bit of bonito flakes. Let that simmer for about 5 minutes and strain it. This gives a wonderful umami flavor to your broth. And you saw how easy it is to make. So I highly recommend this one. So after adding that up to the stock, the next thing to do is to cover it up and let it boil for an additional 6 hours. Because once that time is up, your broth is ready. The only thing left to do now is to strain it. Because once you are done, you are rewarded with this. I'm telling you friends, it is incredible. A wonderful rich flavor that is hard to explain, but so easy to enjoy. It is delicious. However, it is still not 100% done yet because we need to add 2 more special ingredients. And I'm talking about miso. And as you can see, I chose the red and white. Adding both gives a wonderful flavor. Just make sure that once it's added, you stir it well so that everything can combine. But now that our broth is ready, the next thing to do is to start up our toppings. And the very first one we're gonna make is eggs. These are super easy. However, at the same time, super delicious. I like mine soft boil. To get those results, I like to boil my eggs for a total of 6 minutes. Once the time is up, I immediately throw them into an ice bath. This will prevent it from cooking any further. And to peel it, I like to use this method. I slowly break up all of the shells and throw them right back into the bowl. The little microscopic cracks allows water to go inside, making the peeling a lot easier to do. The next thing we gotta do is the marinade. So into a bowl, I threw in a little bit of soy sauce, followed by mirin, sesame oil, a good amount of brown sugar, and finished it off with water. Mix it well because once you have done so, the only thing left to do is to add it to the eggs. Keep in mind that the longer you keep them in there, the stronger the flavor of the marinade will penetrate. For me, at least 3 hours in the refrigerator is good enough. Because as you can see, with that time, they turn dark real quick. Imagine how it would be if you leave it overnight. And these eggs are good on anything, even with rice by itself. Jumping on to the next topping, we gotta make nemna, aka bamboo shoot. Now this one here, you're either gonna love it or hate it. And to make it, it is super simple. As you can see, this is what it looks like. There are other kinds, but the only one I was able to find was this one here on my Asian supermarket. So after straining it, I added a little bit of sesame oil into the pan and threw them in there. Then I added a good amount of chicken stock, followed by a little bit of mirin, and of course soy sauce. I mixed it well and cooked it for about 5 minutes. Once all of the liquid was evaporated, the only thing left to do was to add a little bit of chili oil. The only thing left to do was to stir it because my nemna was done. That is how easy it is to make this topping. And like I said, you're either gonna love it or not. Moving on to the next topping, this one might be the most popular of them all. I'm talking about Naruto Maki. And there's no way that you can make Naruto's favorite ramen without this. And I gotta be honest, it is difficult to find. Not every Asian supermarket has it. So if you find it, make sure you buy a good amount. And if you wonder what this is, it is fish cake. The pink thing in the middle is just food coloring. And I think I understand why Naruto likes this very much. Check out the ingredients. Do you see what I see? Monosodium glutamate, aka MSG, the king of flavor. The very next toppings we gotta prepare is scallions. There is no secret to this whatsoever. You just gotta chop it up and it's ready. Now the last one and maybe the most important one of them all is the noodles. I've chose these. At least for me, they are the best ramen noodles I ever had. I just followed the packaging instruction for the cooking and it was ready. It is pretty simple, there's no secret to it. But now that we have everything ready, the only thing left to do is to plate it up and enjoy Naruto's ramen. So now I say it is enough talking and it is time to plate and eat. So let's do it. All right, everybody, here we have our beautiful ramen today, Angel. No steak today.
Today I'm Shikamaru, guys.
What does it look like to you? What does it look like?
Bro, this is Naruto's ramen, bro.
That's right, that's right.
From the Ichiraku Ramen Shop.
Absolutely correct.
This is like a photocopy, bro.
I
it
know.
It looks exactly the same as
I try to make it as authentic, let's just say, because it's, you know what I mean? It's an anime, everybody. But at least I think that's what my take is on it. I hope you guys enjoy it, but the only thing left to do really is to try it. You know what I mean?
Man,
yes, it's a little bit of work to make ramen, but when you make it at home, it's phenomenal. I'll tell you that right now. How does it taste? Let's see.
Oh, that's like
Oh, come on now.
that's like chickeny pork.
That is fire, everybody. That's all I
fire.
can say.
Naruto knew what he was eating, bro. He knew exactly what he was eating.
I don't know if I did it his way, but at least it's my way. Okay, try the pork. Let me know about the pork. Cheers, everybody. That is ridiculously amazing. Come on.
You know, I asked him, Guga,
It's
you made a
amazing.
ramen video like the Naruto one? And he was like, oh yeah, because he's watched it with his kids. And then what did you say?
Let's do it. I'll tell you one thing, everybody. Is it a little bit of work? Yes, it is. It is totally worth it, though. 100% worth it.
I will say,
Yeah,
Naruto eats this like an animal.
I know, right? I was trying to do it, but you were talking. I didn't want to be rude. You know,
Dude,
the
he's
slurper
like-
just goes.
He eats that thing like an
Get up
animal.
there,
man.
I think we should copy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe for future videos. Remember, if you are interested in anything I use, everything's always on the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. We out.
How the hell does he eat it so fast?
I know, right?